Kathy Baldock, and I just wanted to make a quick video on Amendment 1 because it's likely that Christian voters in North Carolina are going to be the deciders of whether to include or not the definition of marriage as between one man and one woman in your state's constitution. As a heterosexual Christian who has worked for the past 6 years for the full inclusion of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Christians in the Christian church, I have some insights I'd like to give my fellow Christians, and they're both fundamental yet sadly sometimes overlooked. I hope you consider your responsibility thoughtfully as you remember that you're both an American citizen and a Christian, and you're guided by both the Constitution and the Bible and to make the decisions of your state and for this country. I want to remind you that marriage has already been designated as one of the basic civil rights of man in the Loving versus the State of Virginia court decision, Supreme Court decision of 1967. This was decided, and it was reaffirmed in 1978 by the Zablocki Red Hall decision under the Equal Rights Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And once again, marriage was determined to be the right to marry as a fundamental importance to all people. So state by state, we are in the process of deciding federally what that means, what all people means. So we're going through this progression to make these decisions state by state. And in North Carolina, you're putting the civil rights of a person in this country to the vote of the populace. It never should have happened. Your legislature has allowed this to happen, and here you are in this position. And I just want to remind you that civil rights in the history of the United States have been evaluated and extended by close examination of the Constitution, not by the consent of the popular vote, not by the consent of the majority. The decision of Lawrence versus the state of Texas in 2003, which overturned the sodomy laws federally, said exactly that in the decision. It said that no group can be singled out for special disadvantages, even just because another group disapproves of them or dislikes their behavior, without a compelling state interest or to withhold the rights. Rights must be extended under the equal protection of the 14th Amendment. So I understand that many Christians desire to withhold same-sex marriage based on your religious convictions, but you don't have that legal right. And I'm not suggesting you ignore the Bible. I am suggesting that you revisit the verses that you believe that you fully understand. Because of relationship, about 10 years ago with a friend that I dearly loved, I had to examine what I believed the Bible said about same-sex relationships. So I took the time and I looked at that. And I have a very quick way for you to do that. If you would just invest 1 hour of time on a video that I will link by a young man named Matthew Vines, I think you might find some interesting different ways that maybe you haven't considered the verses in the Bible of same-sex behavior. So please just invest 1 hour of time. But you have to remember that in the history of the United States, racial and gender discrimination has been in the past defended by both the Bible and moral arguments, but that didn't shield them from looking at those in the context of the Constitution. And as Christians, rather than aggressively participating in the denial of civil rights as they progress and get extended within our society, we are called to sympathize with those that have been discriminated against and oppressed. And we have to remember that civil rights it's not a biblical decision. They're decided using the Constitution. Even when we Christians don't understand or agree with the beliefs of other people, we're still called to recognize the human rights and of them, and that they transcend the need for us to understand or agree with them. In Isaiah, we're told to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke and to set the oppressed free. If you vote to codify marriage in your state constitution in North Carolina as one man and one woman, you will be sending a clear and undeniable message to the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community that you see them in both the context of the Constitution and in the Bible as not equal to you. Two documents that we're to live under that guide us as American Christians. Both of those documents agree on the worth, the dignity, and the humanity of all people. And you have to also remember that Jesus' last recorded words to us were to go and make disciples. And you can't soft pedal a vote to include marriage in your state constitution. You can't soft pedal that into meaning love. To the gay, bisexual, lesbian, and transgender community, this does not mean love. Federal equality is bending towards inclusion. The gay and the transgender community knows this. They want the same things that you want. They want the right to express their love and commitment in intimate relationships. They want to attain civil and legal protections, and they want to have and they want to raise their children within protected families. These are right and noble desires. Voting for Amendment 1 will further push people from looking at our beautiful Savior. They'll only see the ugly discrimination of Amendment 1 that's offered. This is not disciple-making. Love is disciple-making. Romans says, love your neighbor, and love does no harm. Amendment 1 is not loving, and it does do harm to the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community. The Constitution and the Bible are unified in the message of dignity and equality for all people. Please, Christians in North Carolina, be responsible citizens, be responsible Christians. Vote against Amendment 1.